What would you do if someone you loved died and you had the power not to accept it, not to move on, not to heal, just not to let go? This is not a hypothetical. This is the story of a family that chose to answer that question, and it destroyed everything around them. For 67 years, the island of Lumiere has been condemned to die. Every year, a massive and silent figure appears beyond the sea. The inhabitants call her the Paintress. She approaches an enormous monolith and carves a number into its stone. And that number, without exception, without mercy, decides who will live and who will vanish into nothing. Everyone who has surpassed the indicated age is erased. They don't die. They disappear, as if they had never existed. This year's number is 33. Gustav is 32 years old, an engineer, a man who already knows how this ends. As the game begins, he says goodbye to the woman he loves, Sophie, who is 33. He watches her go. There is nothing he can do. He can only stand there, motionless, as the world takes everything from him. But Gustav is not the kind of man who stays motionless for long. He joins Expedition 33, a group of warriors, mages and survivors who every year sail across the sea to reach the continent and stop the Paintress. Expedition 0 was the first, then 99, 98, all the way down to 34. All of them failed, all of them forgotten, all of them buried beneath a number that keeps falling. With him travel Maëlle, a young girl he considers his adoptive sister, Lune, a talented and determined mage, Seal, a warrior who has already lost her husband and child to the Gomage, and others, many others, destined not to return. The moment they set foot on the continent, the group is attacked. An elderly man with white hair leads the assault, flanked by monstrous creatures called Navrons. The expedition is decimated in seconds. The survivors lose sight of each other. Gustav, alone, on his knees before the enormity of what awaits him, hits rock bottom. He attempts to take his own life. It is Lune who saves him. Together, the two rise and continue forward. They find Maëlle, protected by an enigmatic and silent figure that no one can quite explain, the Curator. A spectral presence that seems to watch over the group without ever saying why. Shortly after, they reunite with Seal, who has found unexpected allies in the meantime. The Gestrel, a tribe of loyal and oddly cheerful warriors who inhabit these lands. The group pushes on. The Curator guides them. Esqui, an enormous creature capable of flying and swimming, carries them across the waters toward the Paintress. Every step brings Gustav closer to the woman he wants to stop. Every step costs something. And then the white-haired old man reappears. This time, he is not alone. With him is a girl with a scarred face, a girl who looks unsettlingly like Maëlle. Before the group can react, Gustav is killed. In that moment, Verso steps in. Verso is a survivor of Expedition 0. He stopped aging the moment he arrived on the continent. He can't explain why, and he doesn't seem to care anymore. What he wants is simple, to end the Gomage, and then fade away in peace. He has already lived long enough. The white-haired old man's name is Renoir. He was Verso's commander. He too no longer ages, but his motivation is the opposite. He believes the Paintress is the source of his immortality, and he will protect her at any cost. The two move like opposite poles of the same story. One wants the end, the other wants nothing to change. With Verso at their side, the expedition regains strength. It reaches the monolith, but an impenetrable barrier protects the Paintress. The only way to break it is to find the Paintress's heart, hidden inside Renoir's villa. The first attempt fails, but the Curator, that silent figure who has accompanied them from the very beginning, forges an alternative weapon. A special weapon, capable of doing what nothing else could. Just before the final confrontation, Verso stops and tells the truth. The Paintress is his mother. Her name is Aline, and Renoir is his father. Despite this, Verso is set on seeing it through. He's tired of immortality. He is tired of watching the world disappear year after year. He wants it to stop. The expedition climbs to the top of the monolith. It faces Renoir at its heart, defeats him, and then eliminates the Paintress. With her death, the number disappears. Lumière is saved. The group returns to Lumière. People celebrate. After 67 years, the Gommage is over. But Verso has a letter in his hands. It was slipped to him in secret, some time ago, by the scarred girl who traveled with Renoir. The letter rewrites everything. The Paintress was not the enemy. She was the one protecting Lumière. Every year she climbed the monolith and carved a number into the stone to tell the inhabitants how many people she could still save, as her power slowly consumed itself. She had been fighting a silent, impossible battle that no one could see. The true author of the Gommage was the curator, the real Renoir. That silent specter who had guided them, empowered them, helped them forge the weapon to kill her. The white-haired old man was not the real Renoir. He was a painted copy created by the Paintress to defend her. A painted guardian, sent to meet the expedition and stop it. The expedition did exactly what the real Renoir wanted. It eliminated the only thing keeping the Gommage in check. And now, with nothing left to oppose him, Renoir erases the entire population of Lumière. Everything disappears. Time goes back. We are in Paris, at the dawn of the 20th century. And here the game opens like a dark flower, revealing the core of everything. The Descendres family, the father, Renoir, the mother, Aline, and their 3 children. Cléa, the eldest, pragmatic and strong. Verso, the middle child, sensitive, passionate about music and the piano. And Alicia, the youngest. The Descendres belong to a faction known as the Painters, people with an extraordinary gift, the ability to create living, breathing worlds inside their paintings. Verso, since childhood, devoted his art to an imaginary world at the center of which lies Lumière. A distorted and fantastical version of Paris, inhabited by the Gestrals, the enormous esquilles, and creatures that anyone who has played the game recognizes immediately. Lumière is not a real place. It is a painting. The family has enemies. The Riders, a rival faction. In 1905, the Riders attacked the Descendres villa and set it on fire. Verso throws himself into the flames to save his younger sister Alicia. He saves her, but he dies. Alicia survives, but at a devastating cost. She loses an eye. Her face is disfigured. Her vocal cords are irreparably damaged. She can no longer speak. Aline, the mother, collapses. Her bond with Verso was the deepest she had. And now it is broken. She cannot grieve. She cannot move forward. She begins to harbor a growing resentment toward Alicia, that daughter who survived in place of the son she loved most. And one day she discovers Verso's painting. Inside that canvas, a fragment of her son's soul still exists. Small, silent, but present. Aline begins to enter it. At first rarely, then more and more often. Then she never comes back out. Inside the painting, she creates painted copies of the entire family. Verso, young and alive. Renoir, Cléa, and Alicia too, but with her face still scarred. Because even inside the painting, she cannot fully forgive her. She adds the dog Monaco, Esquille, the family villa. She builds an ideal world in which pain does not exist, in which Verso is still with her. Renoir understands the danger. He knows that his wife's real body will waste away if this continues, that she will die in the real world to remain clinging to an illusion. He enters the painting to convince her to come out. The confrontation between the two quickly descends into a fight. Neither yields, and their struggle tears the canvas from within, giving rise to what the painting's inhabitants will call the fracture. Lumière breaks away from the continent and becomes a drifting island. Renoir creates 4 immensely powerful entities, the axons, each inspired by a member of the family. A hypnotic dancer inspired by Aline. A colossus of masks representing Verso, the boy who pretended to be happy painting while hiding his true love for music. A figure that carries the weight of the world on her shoulders, inspired by Clea. And a creature waiting for forgiveness, inspired by Alicia. But Aline refuses to be broken. She traps Renoir at the base of the monolith and settles at its peak. From there, year after year, she holds back the gommage and carves the number into the stone. A warning, a desperate measure to protect at least a part of what she has created. In the real world, Clea and Alicia watch everything. Clea, in agreement with her father, enters the painting briefly and acts in the shadows. She modifies the painted copy of herself, imprisons her, and forces her to generate endless waves of nevrons, creatures that trap chroma, the painter's vital energy, inside the bodies of their victims. This way, the energy Aline pours into her creations never returns to her. It wastes away. She grows weaker. The inhabitants of Lumiere, unaware that they are paintings, watch people of the age marked on the monolith vanish and believe the Paintress is responsible. They organize expeditions to stop her. But the nevrons cut down every attempt, and the chroma keeps failing to return to Aline. It is a silent trap, built with patience, that lasts for decades. Then it is Alicia's turn. She wants to help her father. She enters the painting, but she is inexperienced, and her mother's power overwhelms her. She is reborn inside the canvas without memory, with a new name, a new life. Maëlle. 16 years later, Maëlle joins Expedition 33, convinced she is a girl from the people of Lumiere. She does not know she is Alicia Descendre. She does not know she is inside a painting. She does not know that the silent curator who protects her is her father, who recognizes her and chooses to help her without revealing himself. She knows nothing. The Paintress has been defeated. Renoir is free. The homage sweeps over Lumiere, and Maëlle, killed like everyone else, awakens in the void of the painting with her memories. She is Alicia. She reunites with the painted copy of Verso, who has known everything from the very beginning. Verso had lied to the expedition because this was his plan all along. Defeat Aline, free their father, allow him to destroy the canvas, close the cycle, free the family from pain. But Alicia cannot accept it. She has spent 16 years among those people. She knows them by name. She knows their stories. She knows how they laugh, how they suffer, how they love each other. For her, they are not paintings. They are real. And then there's another truth, quieter and heavier. In the real world, Alicia has no voice. She has one eye. She has a face marked by scars that will never disappear. Inside the painting, she is whole. She can speak. She can look her brother in the eyes. She can live without that constant, dull awareness of having survived in someone else's place. Her father explains the consequences. If she stays, her body in the real world will waste away, just like her mother's. She will die clinging to a dream. And Aline, desperately trying to re-enter the painting, like someone searching for a way back into an addiction, will follow her into the same ruin. But Alicia refuses to be convinced. Using her recovered powers as a painter, she resurrects her companions, defeats her father, and drives him out of the canvas. Renoir, drained of strength, is forced to yield. It is Verso then who makes the final move. He chooses to face Alicia, to push her out, to save her from herself, even at the cost of his own existence. And this is where the game places the choice in your hands. It asks you to decide whose side to take. Not between good and evil, not between right and wrong. It asks you to choose between two truths that cannot coexist. On one side, reality, the pain, the scars, the grief that was never processed, a broken family that needs to begin again. On the other, the dream, people you love, a world that feels like home, a version of yourself unmarked by loss. What is more real? The pain of the world or the happiness of a dream? Verso wins. Alicia vanishes from the canvas and returns to the real world. Renoir immediately destroys the painting, the painted copy of Verso. aware that he is only an echo of the boy who died in the fire, not the real boy, has time to embrace Monoko and Esquire. He gives Ciel a quiet nod. He meets Luna's gaze, and then the painted world dissolves, slowly, like a dream at dawn. Verso disappears along with Lumiere, at peace. In the real world, the Descendre family gathers before Verso's grave, for the first time, truly, together. Renoir and Aline embrace. Claire lays down flowers. Alicia holds a small Esquire plush toy against her chest. Everything she has left of that world. Then she looks up and she sees her old expedition companions smiling at her, waving one last time. This ending is not a victory, not in the traditional sense. It is the end of a grief that had lasted for decades. It is the Descendre family finally, truly, mourning Verso. Aline accepting her son's death. Alicia accepting her own scars. All four of them looking toward the future, no longer chained to a past that will never return. The price is immense. Lumiere no longer exists. The Gestral, Esquire, Sophie, Gustave, Lune, Ciel, all gone. And the copy of Verso with them. But that family can finally move forward. Alicia wins. Verso lies on the ground, his gaze full of pain. He pleads with her to let him go, to let his soul stop painting, to accept reality, and the grief that has kept his family trapped for too long. Alicia, in tears, answers him with her whole truth. All she wants is a normal life, without scars, beside the brother who died because of her. In the next scene, Lumiere is alive. Everyone is celebrating. Gustave, Sophie, Lune, Ciel, Il, the Kestrel, all reunited in the serenity of a world that can finally look toward the future. The gommage is over. People can grow old. They can live. Verso, resurrected against his own will, approaches a piano. Before he plays, he looks into Alicia's eyes, and he understands. Alicia did not leave the painting. She stayed. She chose the dream. Like her mother before her, she has lost herself in an illusion that cannot hold forever. One day, her body in the real world will stop, and Renoir will have one last chance to destroy the canvas. Verso's soul, trapped inside the painting, is condemned to paint for eternity to sustain that world. Without peace, without end. Lumiere lives, but the price is hidden, silent, and devastating. Clair obscur. Expedition 33 does not give you an answer. It leaves you with the question, is it right to destroy a dream, even if for someone that dream is the only place they can breathe? Is it right to impose reality on someone who is not ready to face it? And when the line between a painted world and a lived one becomes this thin, does it still make sense to call it false? The story of the Descendre family is a story about grief that cannot be processed, about scars that cannot be hidden, and about impossible choices that some people are forced to make. There are no heroes. There are no villains. There are only people who love, and who suffer, and who sometimes do terrible things precisely because of that. And a question that will stay with you long after the game is over.